For this last portion of systems of linear inequalities, you will be given the graph and then you will have to write the system. And then you'll still verify like normal from there or just be asked to identify. So again, it reminds you about how to write linear equations when you're given a graph. So it says if it's linear, we're going to find the y-intercept as b, then we're going to pick 2 points to calculate rise over run for our m, and then we'll plug it into mx plus b form. If it's horizontal, remember we do a y equals and then find where it intersects the y. If it's a vertical, then we're going to do an x equals and find where it intersects the x. And then we will use the shading to decide less than versus greater than. We will use solid versus dash to decide if it's equal to or not. So you can go in any order that you want. It kind of helps if you label your pictures so you don't get lost where you are looking. So we need to be careful about reading the x-axis versus the y-axis. So this x-axis and this y-axis is not part of our system. I'm going to color code just to kind of make sure that we see what we're actually looking at. So pink is part of our system. I'm going to call that A, my A equation. Then I see a solid diagonal. That'll be my second equation or my B equation. And then I have a dashed linear, and then that would be my third one. So just be careful to not accidentally include the axis. All right, so my first one, my A, is a horizontal line. So that's definitely going to be a HOI, which is a y equals, and then I'm just going to steal where it intersects the y-axis at 3. So that is going to be the first of my inequalities, but it is not an equal. We have to look at the shading and then the solid line to decide what's going on. So from this pink line, my shading is below. So that is going to be a less than symbol. Because it is solid, I'm going to underline it. All right, next up, my B, that is diagonal. So I am going to write an mx plus b. So let's start with our y-intercept. So we know that our y-intercept is at 0. So when I'm plugging that in, that's going to go into the B spot. And then the only thing that I'm missing now is my slope. So we need to pick a second perfect point. And so I see one right here. And then when I count my rise over run, that is 1, 2, up 3, and to the right 1. Well, up 3 and to the right 1. When I set it up as a rise over run, that will become 3 over 1, which is just 3. Now, when I write my inequality, remember we're not doing equal signs. And then my 3x plus 0 could be simplified to just a 3x. And then now we look at our shading and whether it's a solid or a dashed line. So my shaded area is above like any point that I pick. So that is going to be a greater than symbol. It is a solid line, so we are going to underline it. And then the next line, my dashed, is also a diagonal. So going to do an mx plus b one more time. My y-intercept this time is a -2. And then now I need to calculate my slope. So I see a nice perfect point here. So when I count, that is up 2 to the right 2. So up 2, right 2 is 2 over 2, which reduces to a slope of 1. When I'm writing it as an inequality, I can simplify my 1x to just an x. And then I see shading parts are going to be above my green line. So again, a greater than, but it is dashed, so no equal to. So these are my 3 inequalities. Y is less than or equal to 3, y is greater than or equal to 3x, and y is greater than x minus 2. From there, you have some options, solution versus not a solution. So remember, make sure that you're in that final mixed section, they've already highlighted it for you. And then pick any ordered pair in there to be a solution. And then any point that is not in there would be not a solution. All right, for the last example of this, same thing. Make sure that you identify your x and y and do not include that. So we do have 3 other linears present in this graph. Let's go ahead and color code those. I've got a vertical. I have a horizontal. Let me do a different color. Those are very similar. And I have a diagonal. And the order does not matter which way that you go, but just for notes purposes, I'm just going to do ABC, left to right. But again, the order doesn't matter, top, middle, bottom, but the way that you write it is the part that matters with the correct symbol. All right, so for my A, I've got a horizontal. That's my hoi. That's a y equals. And it intersects the y at -2. But we are doing inequalities, so don't write the equal to, or sorry, don't write the equal sign. Let's look for our shading. So our gray area is below that line, so that's a less than. It is solid, so it's going to be equal to. All right, my B is diagonal. That's an mx plus b. Let's steal the y-intercept. So that's a 1. And so let's pick a second perfect point to get our slope. So that is down 1, right 1. So down 1, right 1 would be a -1. When I write my inequality, I can just do a -x instead of a -1, but it's okay if you leave it. And then let's look at our shading. So to get to the gray, I do have to shade below. So that is a less than. It is also a solid line, so it would be equal to. And then the last one, C, that is a vertical line. That's a vux. Let's see where it intersects the x-axis. That looks like -3. And then check your shading. So from my teal line or my turquoise line, I am shading to the right, so that's a greater than, and it is solid equal to. So this will be my final system of inequalities. And then again, when you are picking your solution versus non-solution, make sure you're looking in that shaded area.